Mabuhay Pilipinas! Ito po si Kinito Hanson kasama si...
Hi, Diane Castilla. Welcome to another episode of Play It Right. And Kinito, finally!
Yes!
We have
him here.
Yay! Coach Tim
He
Cone.
is the Golden Gilas head coach, the Barangay Ginebra Championship coach, none other than, well, our special guest, Coach Tim Cone.
Bravo.
But before Coach Tim says hi to all of you, we want to be able to present to him something very, very special. It's going to be an unboxing, and this is going to be, well, we won't tell you. We'll find out what it is. First, there's this box.
Oh, he needs the
And
cutter.
we also have a cutter. And please do the honors.
You like getting gifts, Tim?
Kind of.
It's hard to give you a gift. Well, the Asian Games gold medal was a gift.
I didn't actually get a gold medal.
Oh, you didn't?
Coaches don't get medals.
Oh, I didn't know
Can you
that.
imagine that if they gave
What?
a medal to every coach, like a coach for a tennis player or a coach for a basketball boxer or whatever, they'd be giving hundreds of medals. So for basketball, only the players get medals. Let's try this again.
Wow.
There we go.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, same with the Southeast Asian Games.
You have to cut another
What is
bubble
that?
wrap.
I'm gonna look at it. This is exciting. I feel like Christmas all over again.
Yeah, it's almost Christmas.
Oh, this is a.
It's like a stand.
Oh,
Wow,
it's like a
nice.
stand.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And the
Gotta
stand,
keep this away from my son because if he finds out that.
Ooh, that's
Put that down right here.
that's pretty.
There we
okay.
go. That's out.
And
Okay.
this is for you,
Wow.
our champion coach from the Asian Games.
I think I'm going to have to hide this from my son because he'll take it and go out into the court and start playing with it.
And Diane, first gold medal in men's basketball for the Philippines at the Asian Games in 61 years.
Unbelievable. And the
And
way they
by-
won it is
and,
like...
You know,
and during that time, 1998, you coached the team
That's
for the
right.
Philippines.
We were due, you know. I mean, honestly,
We were due.
in my
Yes.
opinion, you know, we're just too passionate of a
That's true, I agree.
nation not to do well in international basketball at some point. I mean, we're not going to be winning every one. We're not going to win every gold, and we're not going
Yeah.
to be qualifying for you know every Olympics or every. But there will be times when we do, and we should, you know, because we're just passionate about what we do.
Agree, but considering the circumstance, it was quite phenomenal.
Yes.
You're
All
really-
right.
Wow.
By the way,
Remember
here,
these balls.
here are
These the ones
instructions.
we used in the Asian Games. 'Cause we were wondering. I remember we were talking about it, and we were looking at the BG 65,000. We were wondering whether this is the women's basketball or the men's basketball, and we found out that 65,000 or the 5,000, the BG 5,000 was the men's, and the women's is like 4,400 or something like that.
Well, Coach Tim,
And look at all the design and everything on it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
only 1,200 of these balls were
Oh,
made.
It's also got the name on it.
That's right. It's autographed by the president of Molten, Mr. Tamiyaki.
Okay.
So he wanted to do that specially for you.
Nice.
Out of 1,200 basketballs of this type made all over the world, this is number 117.
117.
It's numbered right here.
Beautiful.
And it comes with instructions on how to display it. So I guess it has to go on top of that. Yes.
Wow, that's so nice.
That's
Huh?
There it is.
That is beautiful. I love this stand. That is so special.
And this
That
is
is very
special
nice.
for a very special man, someone who has given a lot of pride and honor to our country. For all the years that he's lived in the Philippines, he's a Filipino. Come on, he's a Filipino.
I forgot you're
Live
actually
here.
American.
Huh?
I forgot you're American because you're so Filipino.
I've lived here not longer than you, but I've definitely lived here longer than you have. 'Cause I've lived here 50, 56, 57 years now.
Okay. Well,
About the
Filipino at heart. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Well, Coach Tim, again, congratulations for this wonderful victory in the Asian Games. And in 1998, you coached the Philippines to a bronze medal in the Asian Games. You didn't have a naturalized player on that squad, but you had Kenneth De Remdes and Johnny
Great team.
Abarientos and Giorgio Lastimosa and Vergel Meneses, Alvin Patrimonio, Alan Kaidik. In terms of vibe, how different was that team in 1998 compared to this team in 2023?
Well, I think in 1998 the expectations were a lot higher. We had a lot more time to prepare. You know, we had a long a long process in player selection. So, you know, we got all the players that we felt we wanted, and it was really a superstar-laden team at that time. And we also had 3.5 months of preparation, including traveling to the States and playing, and playing in the Jones Cup, which that team won. The team won the Jones Cup, and it was just a really good feel. And I think that's why it was so painful and hurtful when we only got the bronze. And you know, we really set out to get the gold in that team, and we ended up with the bronze. On this team, we were like, we didn't know how good we were going to be. You know, we really didn't know how good we were going to be. I remember watching the video of Bahrain, our first game, and we were talking with the coaches, and there was really some question of whether we could even beat Bahrain. They looked really good on video. We watched them in a tournament that they had played to qualify for the Asian Games, and they had played with Indonesia and Kazakhstan, and they played a tournament, and they just blew out every team. They beat everybody by an average of 27 points. And plus they had an import who was an
PBA?
PBA import of the conference.
Wayne Chisholm.
Wayne Chisholm, who was a best import before. So we were looking at a team, I go, I'm not even sure we can win our first game. And of course we went out and we won by like, I guess, 28 points or something like that. And I think we all kind of surprised ourselves in that situation.
Yeah, well, Ricky Vargas said that, you know, on the way there, like even in the plane, they were thinking, oh gosh, I hope we win a game.
Yeah.
But you were always positive, of course, hoping for the best. Tim, you just arrived from the States, you've had 2 weeks. Have you actually like thought about what you guys achieved? I mean, you beat Bahrain, Thailand, lost to Jordan, then you had all those 1-point wins with China, Iran, and then beat Jordan. I mean, with such a short preparation.
I had a just when I got back, actually, I actually went through some of the video and watched some of the games. I had not, you know, gone back. We really didn't have that much time to really delve into games because the next game was the next day. So, you know, we kind of just said, okay, we got that one done. Let's move past it. Let's stay forward and just keep, you know, moving forward. And it was really about just taking one step at a time. Just put the next foot forward. And so I never really got a chance to really look at those games. I didn't see the semifinals game and I didn't see the finals game. So I kind of went back and saw some of that stuff, and you know, it's just the way things, you know, it's like on the way to a championship in the PBA. You know, things kind of have to fall in place. You know, you win a big game here, you get this one moment there that could have gone either way, and that changes the whole complexion of how you would have done it, what the result would have been, and it just kind of felt like that thing just kind of fell into place. You know, we had to have this big moment. We had it. You know, guys had to make this stop. They stopped it. You know, Justin had to make that shot for us to, you know, continue. We're not talking about the last two, but the one even before where he almost lost a fumble and he picked it up and he threw up a floater and it went in, you know, against China. And that kept us in the game and allowed us to hit, for him later, he hit that 3-point shot and another 3-point shot. So all these little things happened. And then not only that, you know, our first day that we arrived, we were supposed to go to practice. And, you know, we had so limited practice time. So every practice was so crucial for us. And then we get to the organizers send us to a venue. And we go and look at the venue. I walk out and look at the venue and I go, we can't do this. And not only that, we didn't have any basketballs either. We had one basketball for the whole team. And I just said that we are not going to do this. You know, we are more professional than this.
Because the court was in such bad shape.
Yeah, the court wasn't in bad shape, but there were like 3 courts together and 2 other courts were being played on, and there were a bunch of people around, and so there was no privacy. And I just said to the team, I said, you know, we're professionals, and you're professionals, I'm not going to subject you to doing something so unprofessional in playing this court. So it took us an hour to drive there. So we literally got right back in the vans and drove back to the hotel, and we didn't get that practice. And that was the day the day we arrived, and then the next day we did have a practice for like an hour and 15 minutes, and then we had to play against Bahrain after that. So just that thing, and then of course losing to Jordan, and then the way we beat Qatar was really crucial because we were allowed us to rest Justin and get him prepared for the next 2 days that we would play Iran and China. If we had struggled in that game and really had to push and get Justin to play a bunch of minutes, there's no way we would have lasted through Iran and China. But that game came out just like we scripted it. And so again, one of those little things. If that didn't happen, we probably don't advance. And then blowing the big lead against Iran, and it just like was one thing after another. The thing that really helped us and kept us going all the time was the support that we got from Al Francis Chua.
That's right.
He was on top of things all the way. When something was going wrong, he was going ballistic. I mean, we didn't get this from the Chinese, or we didn't get that from the Chinese. He was in that person's face. He was in that person's face. And he was making sure that, we just kept going on. And that's something we didn't have to worry about, we never had to feel like, oh, nobody wants us to win here, so we're not going to win. Al Francis kept us from that. And then the support of Ricky Vargas, who you mentioned, and the commissioner. I imagine the commissioner of the PBA was our deputy team manager. And
carrying all kinds of
he
stuff.
was all kinds of, he was like screaming in people's faces after we won, and after every game, he'd come in the locker room screaming and yelling. And it was just, the whole support group that we had there. It was just anything we wanted, we got. And that was really cool.
Coach Tim, the process of assembling this team, and even your appointment as head coach, right after the FIBA World Cup, you mentioned that you weren't going to coach the national team. What made you change your mind? And then this fiasco of the pools of 60 and 37, and then players were not eligible, but they already practiced, and then they had to withdraw. Guys were crying. They were so emotional. And I mean, the challenge was so severe for you. So again, the first question, what made you change your mind? And then with all these challenges in front of you, what made you persevere and go through with it?
Well, the easy answer for the first one is that Mr. Ong, RSA, called me and said he would like me to do it. And, he never asks anything. He never calls and said, I'd like you to do this, or he never, ever. In my 11 or 12 years with San Miguel, he's never asked me to do anything.
Wow.
And so for him to call me personally and ask me and tell me to do it for the country, I mean, I could hardly say no. Now let me say, it's not that I didn't want to do it, is that I didn't want to do it after Choi. I didn't want to be the guy after Choi. He's such a close friend of mine. And I only joined his group in the World Cup to support him and to be with him. And it was never ever an intention for me to go in. A lot of assistant coaches, they want to join the team because they see that they're going to maybe have a chance at the head coach later on. And, obviously that was not what I had gone into the World Cup from. And so I really didn't want to do it because I just didn't want to follow Chud. And I thought that would be unfair to him. He was the one that brought me in and made me experience the World Cup, which was a tremendous personal growth experience for me to be in that whole World Cup thing. It was awesome, and I owe that all to Chud and his invitation and me going in. We had been wanting to do that for years, work together, because he was also the guy who worked with me when we won the bronze back in '98. Chut and I were basically, I always called him my co-coach. I wasn't the head coach; he was my assistant. It was really about we co-coached that team, and so it was something, that collaboration we really enjoyed, and so it was something we would look for over the years. But I was always either with Alaska and And then I was with the other side, San Miguel, so I was never able to really connect with him at being in the MVP group, because the MVP group was actually the ones who ran Gilas in the national team.
And
So-
tell us about the pools of 60 and 37 and the players who practiced, withdrew, you brought in new guys. I was counting the number of days of practice you guys had before leaving for Hangzhou with a final 12-man lineup. I counted 4.
Yeah.
And then you had one more day playing a tune-up game. You only had one tune-up game.
Yeah, we had 4 practices. We had a tune-up game before we left, with the
One
with
practice.
the with the new 5 guys.
Yeah.
And then we had that's why that practice and what we were talking about earlier in China was so important to us. And then we didn't get that one, so then we had one more after that. So literally we had 5 practices.
Before the first game.
It was fortunate that we scheduled that practice game with the Korean
Koreans,
team.
yeah.
And that's one thing that I look back on and I'm saying, we never played Korea, and
That's right.
through this whole thing. And that was one of the things that I was actually looking forward to, was playing Korea. We never got a chance to play them. They got kind of knocked out by Japan, and which everybody was shocked. I honestly kept telling who was the team to beat.
Yeah, you
I
kept saying
saying it was going to
Korea.
be a Korea or Jordan, knowing that Ronde was there and Bohannon, they had 2 naturalized guys, high-level naturalized guys, and then Korea. I thought Korea would be the team to beat because, they hadn't played for a while. Nobody really knew how they were playing, but then they got upset by Japan, and then that knocked them into I think the bracket with China, and then China knocked them totally out. But we felt they were going to be the strong team there.
So again, in forming this team, the challenge was so severe. What was the problem with the pools of 60 and 37? I keep on referring to that because
Yeah.
that was really
It's kind of a complex thing that it's not an easy explanation. It's going to take a while to really explain it. But
that's water under the bridge. So.
Yeah, as briefly as I can, there was a list of 60 that was requested 5 or 6 months before the Asian Games, which I don't understand why they were requesting a list of TA players 5 or 6 months before the game. That's, you can't prepare that long.
And the list included Andre Blatch.
Yeah, and, the list included. They put 60 names out there, and 30 of them were PBA players, and 30 of them were non-PBA players, including UAAP, NCAA, naturalized naturalized
The
player
Japan
candidates,
players.
the Japan players, the Korean players, and so there were 30 of those, and then there was 30 PBA players, and obviously the 30 of the naturalized, that naturalized UAAP, NCAA group was untouchable for us. In Japanese were untouchable. We couldn't select from them, so it really came down to the 30 PBA. We actually had a couple of, going back on it, we had a couple of UAAP and I think one NCAA guy that we were going to select to join. No, I'm sorry, it was 3 UAAP players. When we found out that we weren't going to be able to use all the Japanese guys, they were on the original list to go, but the UAAP couldn't delay any longer their thing, so we didn't have access to them as well. But we did want 3 UAAP players. And so we were locked into the 30. And so from the 30, we picked, we were looking for size to help us because we lost Kai and we lost Edu, and we lost a lot of size. We lost our wings, Dwight Ramos. We lost Jamie Malonzo. So we didn't have the size or the wings. We were either really small or big. So we were looking for wings. So the first thing I asked for was for Calvin Abueva and
Terrence Romeo.
No, not Calvin.
Jason Perkins?
Jason Perkins. I asked for those 2 guys because we needed wings. We needed big wings to play and versatility in our lineup. The problem was they weren't on the original 60.
But did you know that ahead of
Yeah,
time?
we did know that, but the consensus that we had
They could get
amongst the
them in.
group that they could get them in, that the POC could get them in.
Yeah.
They had done that in Indonesia the time before, and when it was in when the Asian Games was in Indonesia, they had put in some last-minute replacements that weren't on the list, and Indonesia allowed them to do it. So it's kind of like an assuming that China would allow us to do it. And of course, as it turned out, China wouldn't let us do it. So those were our two original guys, and I thought those guys were crucial to our success. And then we took Stanley and Terrence Romeo and Mo. So those three, plus the two, were the five that were replacing the five that we had lost. Justin, of course, was replacing Jordan Clarkson as a naturalized. And then we were getting, of course, Kwame. He was replacing it. So basically there were 7 replacements. We had 5 original players. And one of those 5 was our Pagoi. And of course, our Pagoi started having heart issues in the middle of our practices, and it was really scary at that moment. We were doing practices in Inspire, and it was, I was really frightened for him.
What happened? Did he stop playing, or
he had to stop playing, and then
Chest pain?
it's you know, I don't want to discuss his medical issues, but it didn't like he didn't faint or anything like that or do anything, but.
You could see there was.
Yeah, there was definite issues, and like I said, I don't want to discuss all of them, but that knocked him out too.
Yeah.
So then we were down to 4 original players, and we had to get a placement for him. So we went back on the list, and that's when Stanley was going to be part of it. He's going to replace Roger. So that was our team, and we practiced with that team with Jason Perkins, Calvin. Mo, Terrence, Stanley, Justin, and Anj as our replacement players. And then 5 days before the tournament, we got a memo from the organizers in Asian Games and said that that this another list of 37 that said that only these 37 had the proper paperwork. The other guys from the other 60 lists did not have the proper paper. So it came down to the 37. And of course the 37 had all the Japanese players and all the Korean players. And it turned out that there were only 6 eligible players out of the 37 that we could choose from.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we had to knock out Stanley and all those guys. And we had to knock out the 5 guys and pick 5 from the 6. And they ended up being Chris Ross, Marshall Lassiter,
Arvin Tolentino,
Kevin Alas, Arvin Tolentino, and
Calvin Ftana,
and Calvin and New, they were in the list already, so they were clean. We had them originally. Forgot about the 2 of them. We had them. How can I forget them? But we had them originally because they were on the list originally, and they were alternates for the World Cup team. So we had already slid them in. But those 5 were the guys that came in at the last moment, at the very last moment. And so we had a team of bigs.
What a headache.
We had a team of bigs: Anj, Junmar, and Japeth. And then after that, we were all the way down. Our next biggest guys were Arvin, Calvin, and then everybody else were guards. We had
Scotty.
We had a whole team of guards, and so our team balance was what we were most afraid of. But we just didn't have really good team balance and versatility, and we felt that was going to put a lot of pressure on Justin to really go overtime because we just didn't have anybody.
And he just came from injury.
And he just came back for injury. And I didn't know till after the games was over that Justin was taking injections into his foot, painkiller injections into his foot. I didn't even know that. And after every game, his foot was turning black and blue after every game, and they had to working, and luckily, our trainers were there working with him 24 hours through the night, trying to get him ready for the next game. And I never even knew that. I just kept going up to Justin. I go, Justin, how you doing? You doing all right? Because we would have a practice or we'd have a meeting before a game, and I'd want to come out and say, do I need to hold you out a little bit today? Can I play you fully? What's the deal with your foot? That was our constant conversation between me and Justin. As it turned out, every time he would say, "Yeah, I'm fine, coach. Don't worry about me. I'm dealing with it. Got a little pain, but I'm dealing with it." It turned out to be a lot more than a little bit of pain, but he was downplaying it the whole time. But apparently, I heard from the trainers that they had a hard time getting him ready for each game.
Wow. Or just listening to you couldn't write this. I mean, it sounds like a fairy tale.
No, yeah, it's yeah. Actually, it did seem a little scripted. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I mean, seeing what happened, the stress of forming the team, the no practice, the challenges in China, players were not paid, they didn't ask for payment. I mean, just the lack of preparation, and then seeing the result. What did you learn from it? And moving forward, we're always talking about early formation, a lot of international exposure, gelling. I mean, what have you learned? I mean, I guess this
I don't know.
is
maybe
like
we were just Chamba
unconventional,
this time.
huh?
Maybe we were just Chamba this time. Just the stars aligned and everything went right, and we won. But I just think that number one, we had a really veteran group. Mm-hmm. Chris Ross. I just want to mention Chris Ross because we had such a short window of practice time, and so the thing that's really hard to build, and when you have a short time like that, is chemistry.
Yeah.
And Chris may have not played a lot of minutes on the floor, but behind the scenes, he was the chemistry guy.
Really?
He took so much pressure off of me because that's something I didn't have to constantly deal with. It was.
What
Chris
was he doing?
Chris was the one who was really getting people together and talking it out and doing. He did so much stuff. Even if he had not played a minute on the floor, he would have been one of our most valuable players because of his ability to just continually work on chemistry.
Nice.
And that really helped out. And again, all the guys were vets. I think our youngest player was Anj Kwame, and then the next youngest was Calvin, and everybody else was over 30. So, there was a real sense on that team that, no one was out for themselves. No one was out to do anything. It was just whatever it took for the team. And that made it really easy for me to coach. Young guys, I have no problem with young guys, but young guys like to go out and prove themselves.
Right.
And veterans kind of get over that. They've already been through that phase. And now they're out there. They don't care about themselves as much as they just care about the result and the winning. And so that's why this team was very easy to handle in that respect. They built their own chemistry. They knew how to keep that big picture in mind. They understood how important the process was and the day-to-day. And that just made it really easy for me from a coaching standpoint. So I think that idea that those guys were all veterans really lent to the idea of, and I know we want to go out there and get great talent and we want to get those young guys who can fill it up and stuff, but when you don't have that long period of time to do something, go out and get veterans. They really help a lot.
Oh, what an amazing journey, Coach Tim. But in February, there will be the new FIBA window for the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. And then in July, there will be the Olympic qualifying tournament where the Philippines will be playing. If you were to be asked to continue as head coach, would you, and Mr. Ang called, what would you say?
Well, that question is a lot more complex, and I keep saying that. It's a complex question. The one I did for the Asian Games was a very simple question. It was like, okay, you're going to handle this team, and then it's going to be over in 3 weeks, and you're done.
Yeah.
And that's an easy yes. But now it's a much more complex question. Number one, if there, the whole idea of me doing that in the Asian Games was to give the SPP an opportunity to go out now and really try to find the guy they want.
Okay.
All right. Whether it be me or Tab or Jimmy Alapag or someone from the States or whatever, they're going to go out and find. That's the whole idea, was to give them time now to go out and find someone who's going to lead the program.
But you're open to it.
Again, it's a complex. It's a complex. I can't say that. 'Cause it's a complex question. Okay, if I did do the Asian, just for example, if I did continue with the national team, what do I do with the Nebra? Do I do both jobs?
Yeah.
And if you look at both jobs, and this is what I mean by it being a complex question. If I do both jobs, when I coach Ginebra, and then we take a break for me to coach the national team, then what happens right after the national team? We go back and coach Ginebra again. So while everybody's taking a break, I'm still working. And it's just a constant all the way through. And it's just like this last year, because I was with Chuck and doing this thing and went right into the Asian Games, I basically went a year and a half.
And
almost,
the SEA Games before that.
Yeah, and I almost went a year and a half before I've taken a break from basketball.
I know, I heard from your wife.
Just going from, and so, you know, and will my Ginebra job suffer if I concentrate on the national team? Or will the national team suffer if I concentrate on the Nebra? Am I going to do, if I'm going to do it, am I going to do national team full time? If you're going to do national team full time, think about it. Who are you going to practice with?
Yeah.
The guys you're going to practice with are playing in the PBA. So I'm just sitting around waiting for that time and what'd you say? It was February and then
In
July.
July, yeah.
So what happens in January and March and April, May and June? You know, you're doing nothing. So if you're going to be a full-time coach, there's not enough work for you to be a full-time coach, right?
Yeah.
And so, but if otherwise you're doing two jobs and it's too much work. And, you know, it's a strain on your family, it's a strain on yourself. And I'm just talking about myself. I'm talking about anybody who's going to be in that situation. So, like I said, that's a complex question. How are you going to deal with that? How is the SBP going to deal with that? How much time are you going to get to prepare a team? How much break are you going to get maybe afterwards from your mother team? You know, I mean, to regenerate your batteries and get going again. And it's really it's a complex question.
But I think you put it
doesn't come into a simple answer, and that's why I'm saying we got to bring everybody together. We got to figure out how we're going to do all this stuff, and then you're going to have to figure out who you want to lead to do it. And that's why I don't want to come out and say with a simple answer and say yes or no, because it's more complex than that.
Yeah, I think you put a lot of perspective into this because, as you were saying, it was an easy yes to do the Asian Games, but it also gives the SBP time to plan out what is necessary for the Philippine team. Moving forward, we've got a lot of competitions coming up, including that Olympic qualifying tournament, which will be a big challenge. And also it opens up an opportunity for the SBP to think about what kind of coach they really need to lead the program. But whatever happens, I'm sure the Philippine basketball community will appreciate the fact that you'll always be there to support the national team.